Welcome, everybody, to Radical Self Respect. This is the place where you learn how to not take any more BS, how to not get manipulated, and of course, to practice radical self respect. And in today's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to break down a real life text conversation that happened between me and some internet troll. It's going to be good for learning purposes. But I would also like people that have scenarios they want broken down or relationship type stuff they want broken down to send me it so that I can anonymously break it down and show examples for everyone to see because I do enjoy doing this. Now, for this text exchange in particular, it's going to be a piggyback from the one I was talking about before, the spiritual narcissist one. And it's the same dude, but, and know this, the best thing would have been for me not to say anything, right? So keep that in mind going into. I shouldn't have said anything. That would have been the best way to handle it. But I wanted to offer my platform here because drama and disagreements get views and it can be entertaining. So I put aside a little radical self respect, as you will be able to see, but I probably shouldn't have. But it is still a learning opportunity. And I didn't handle it as well as I should have either. I could have done a little better. But let's break this down here because this is everywhere. This is everywhere online right now. People talk like this. And when someone gets emotional, it's hard to see things for what they really are. And that's why it's always important to take that step back to be able to respond as opposed to react. Because a lot of these toxic troll types, their whole goal is to get under your skin. Their goal is to get you emotional and agitated and pushed off of your emotional center. Because when you're in that emotional place, then they're able to manipulate you further and they're able to annoy you and then gaslight you better. And they love that. The narcissistic types, they love that. They love getting an emotional reaction out of you. That's their supply. Literally, narcissists have told me they love starting internet crap and they make people all upset and flustered, and it emotionally regulates them to do it. They get their emotional regulation from the outside. Now, there's many versions of supply. This is one version. Another version, of course, is the love and sex version of supply. But this toxic version of supply, ugh, icky. But let's go break this down here. All right. So let's set the tone here. Let's paint the picture. We had just had a comment exchange on Facebook, and he had just finished calling me names, a beta boy, go leave the room, kiddo, let the adults talk. And I had said, okay, because lions don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep after all. And I thought it was over. And then I get this message into my inbox. And again, if someone's truly manipulating us or trying to gaslight us and get under our skin, the best thing is to ignore it. The best thing is to not even respond. I fully admit that. But for learning purposes, we're going to go over this here. So here it goes. So him, as a friendly reminder, actually, let me do this here. Okay. So him, as a friendly reminder, well-intended piece of advice for you. Okay, I'm open a little bit to see what he might say. I see you're trying hard to carve out a space for yourself, and I respect that. As someone who has made a habit of exposing intellectuals from pretenders, honor your convictions more. Now he's going into telling me what to do. You came into that comment thread confident as can be, and the moment you were met with true debate and questions, you deflected and tried to move the conversation away from the forum it began. Now here's the thing. I'm allowed to have whatever kind of boundary I want, and if my goal is to have a debate on my platform, that's my goal. Who cares if I'm trying to move it somewhere else? Because me moving it somewhere else, that's the only place I want to have the conversation. That's the only way I'm going to engage it further. but he is acting like that's some sort of humongous problem, that I need to play by his rules and do it how he wanted me to do it. And then he goes into a little more condescending here. While I think your perspective on life is laughable and dangerous, it's your right to have it. Okay, a little condescending, but I agree with the second part there. But God, I can't see another one of you fold like a wet paper bag when things don't go your way. More condescending, more goading and instigating and trying to get under my skin. Now, I know you see this as condescending because of the low vibration you exist on. Save this message. The day will come that it makes sense. Again, this is where this is a spiritual narcissistic technique where in order for them to convince you your boundaries are silly or ridiculous, they'll use some sort of lofty explanation. And in this case, it's him telling me I'm on some sort of low vibration. But the whole goal of this is to get me to question myself, question my reality, ask myself, am I on a low vibration? Is he right? That's why in this day and age, it is super important to have super strong frame and to be really grounded in our own sense of reality. Because if we're not, people like this will push us off of our center. So if you believe something, truly believe it, defending it at any time, in any place, shouldn't have been difficult. Again, that would be true if I really cared what he thought of this whole thing. Like, again, we're all allowed to have our own boundaries. My whole thing is if I'm going to have a discussion and a debate and I'm going to really engage myself, I'm going to do it on my platform so at least other people can see it and it serves a benefit to me. And the only reason why I'm breaking this down here is it's serving me and you because I'm making a video about it. But I get it. Yeah, sometimes people should be able to defend their beliefs, but only if they care who they're talking to, only if it's important to do so. And in a case where there's a random person on Facebook, sometimes there's no need. Sometimes there's just no need. And always remember the expression, when you argue with a fool, then there are two. And then he goes on, I'll meditate and send every healing vibration your way. If the day comes that you have the capacity to defend what you claim are your convictions, I'm never far. So more condescending. If the day comes, I have the capacity, like I don't have the capability. Another challenge, another provoking, another attempt to get under my skin. And if I ever going to defend my convictions, he's never far. And here's the thing, again, if we're going to have convictions, we don't have to defend them in all cases. We have to really, depending on who we're talking to, pick and choose the battle. And in this case, the battle normally wouldn't be worth having. So I say, and again, I shouldn't have even responded, period. But I say, I kind of try to match his energy a little bit. One day you will learn a better way to get your points across. I have a boundary for myself that if I'm going to debate, I'm going to debate on my platform. I have learned it's a waste of time to debate strangers. If I am going to, I have made rules for myself about it. You may not agree with my rules for myself. That's fine. And as I'm reading this to myself, yeah, I didn't need to explain myself to that extent. Wasn't necessary. I gave him more than I even should have there. And he goes on, I can't understand a world or reality that exists that creates different outcomes based on the location of a conversation. That's just avoidance. Again, I don't care about the outcome of our conversation. My whole goal was to pull the conversation to YouTube so it could be shown for everyone to see and it would be an interesting, entertaining debate. That was my goal. It's not about the outcome. I don't care about the outcome with him. A lesser me a few years ago would have called you a coward. The enlightened me understands that cowardice is not a state of mind, rather than a symptom of trauma or fear. Again, a clever way to call me a coward, and then another clever way to say he's enlightened now. Pretty arrogant of him to say that. and that cowardice is not a state of mind. I don't know if I agree with that. I think it can be a state of mind. But many things are also a symptom of trauma or fear. Again, I made that exorcist reference in the beginning of the other video. They do mix in some truth with the lies in here too. Like, yeah, a lot of things are symptoms of trauma or fear. But he's just trying to place himself above me and talk down to me, get me more emotional, etc. On a level of this BS reality we all do exist in currently, that boundary will never stop holding you back from growing your brand and platform. If you want to make it, you are everywhere, not only in your comfort zone. Again, I agree we all need to expand our comfort zones. True. But we don't have to have a battle everywhere we turn. In fact, it would be senseless to do so. Right? We can't be engaging all of the people who try to engage us at all times. And again, it all depends on who we're talking to and where we are. And he says this boundary will never stop holding me back. Actually, if I want to have the conversation on my channel, that won't hold me back at all. In fact, if he would have agreed, it never would have been a thing. But he didn't, of course. And I say, no, I like to debate verbally. Have a good one. Because at this point, I see it's just going round and round in circles. There's no use having the conversation. And so I'm trying to exit. And I should have never responded to begin with, period. But I did, of course. I'd like to reiterate something. You present yourself as having convictions that disagreed with my own. Convictions require 100% of yourself. That wouldn't matter the form. I mean, who is he to say what our convictions should and shouldn't be, and who we talk about them to? Again, he wants me to subscribe to his reality here and be a part of his frame. I have a cell phone that receives calls, texts, voice messages, and he's not afraid to speak. And I said I push it back on him, flipping the script, a little almost toxic of me, but I'm just mirroring him at this point. If you had such conviction, you would come on my show. Why should I grant you the comfort of the biases you present on your channel? What have you shown me to earn my inconveniencing myself? I could ask myself the same questions. What has he done to earn me inconveniencing myself? At this stage, you've only shown avoidance, as you've yet to say anything back to my points with any substance at all. Because I don't care to, unless it's on my platform. I'm not interested in running circles around someone who thinks they know things. As of this moment, you've shown me nothing of value. Again, more condescending, more placing himself above me, talking down to me, assuming he would run circles around me, and then not taking the opportunity to do so. And then, as of this moment, you've shown me nothing of value. Why do I have to prove any value to him? The answer is, I don't. That's up to me to change. That would be true if I was playing his game. If I was going to go subscribe to his reality, enter his frame, I would care about that. But in the context of, say, romantic relationships, these kinds of things may be harder to deal with because we have that lovey-dovey feeling involved and there's sex involved too. So these kinds of attacks may have a little more impact if we're in these kinds of situations, which, again, I wrote the whole book, Radical Self-Respect, Avoid Falling for the Same BS, to help people not get in those kinds of scenarios to begin with, because that's the biggest part of the battle, repelling the red flags. And that would be a problem if I cared what you thought of me. Good day. Again, I don't need to be responding at this point. He's already shown himself to be not in good faith, right? He's not coming together with me like we're coming to some sort of mutual understanding. That's not what's going on here. He's mixing in compliments with insults, with a little gaslighting and condescending words. There is no okay, let's talk like two normal adults here for a minute. There is none of that. There is no resolution. It's all this crazy making gaslighting language. And he goes on, and this is almost over. Like this. Jordan Peterson has said terrible things that I've provided you with. That's my move, like chess. Now it's your turn. You've yet to respond to that quote, and I have plenty of others if you'd like another to respond to. Just be honest and say you have no response to the first one. Again, trying to provoke, trying to get under my skin. And the quote again that he's referring to is how Jordan Peterson said that hierarchies are oftentimes predicated on competence. And this guy thinks that means that he thinks that women are not as competent as men. And so he says, just be honest, I don't have a response to that. Again, more goading, interrogating. If you didn't care what I thought of you, you would have never responded to the first message. And as I said before, he had a point with that, really. I was just trying to get him on my channel, but I gave him too much. I gave him too much. This whole back and forth was too much. The second I saw him acting in bad faith, I should have just let it go. But I wanted to get the drama on screen. But like I say to people, when we put anything before radical self-respect, we pay the consequences. And for me, putting like my channel and views above radical self-respect, this is what I get. I get this toxic stream of consciousness. And the only bright side is I'm turning it into something right now. So see, that message was just that, a message. I expected nor required your response at all, but you responded. Yeah, okay. He is kind of right about that. Now, just so we are perfectly clear, I have zero issue debating you in any form, including your incredibly one-dimensional YouTube channel, as long as you can show me I'd be in for a debate. Now, again, he says that, but he's not willing to come on. And I would have to then prove to him he'd actually be in for a debate. But here's the thing. I have thousands of hours of content on here. That really is just a cop-out. I presented, you can respond, or you can ignore this and validate everything I have said, both in comments and this message. So refer back to the initial message when the day comes for you to be ready for accountability. Again, more gaslighty, condescending behavior, saying that if I ignore this message, like I should have, that I would be validating everything he said. Again, the whole goal is to get you bothered and an emotional reaction. It's our goal to not give it to them. The best way to not give it to them is to ignore them. And again, he knows that. And so he said me ignoring him would validate everything. So I gave him one more thing here. But again, I should have not done this either. I have literally thousands of hours of content for you to watch. That is a cop-out. Either give me a date and time you're willing to come on my show, and then I will send the link. If not, I will let everyone know at the end of the day, it was you who refused and you who expected me to inconvenience myself. I tried to let this go, but you chased me down and are obsessed with me. You should be excited to run circles around me on my channel. Let's go, dude. Put your money where your mouth is. Now, that was a little toxic for me too, honestly. And I should have already known. This was all in bad faith. I should have just given up, right? But again, I explained myself more than I should have. And this was like a frame battle. My frame versus his frame. He wanted me to come into his frame. I wanted him to come to my frame on my channel. Neither of us won, as you'll see. I said, date and time, go. Oh, well, good morning, because this was the next morning, apparently. Obsessed and chased are very strong words coming from the guy that can't leave me alone. Flipping the script back on me. Granted, he was the person that inbox messaged me after the comment thread was over. So, respond with any substance to any of the things I said, and we can move forward, or don't. Again, he's setting the rules, or trying to, setting the frame, or trying to, and trying to get me to subscribe to his reality. Prove you're not afraid, and stand up for yourself, or don't. Ball's in your court. So, again, leading me to think that if I don't play by his rules, I'm afraid, and not standing up for myself. Another just basic trolly type thing to say to manipulate me. And then I say, then you refuse, goodbye. And then I blocked him. But I really should have just blocked him from the very beginning. So let's see here. That's funny, as he said. Thanks, man. I like it. So that was the toxic text breakdown there. Again, I shouldn't have responded from the beginning once I saw that he was acting in bad faith, calling me names. But I tried to get this on the show here. I thought it would be entertaining. I thought it would be something good for views. And so I paid the price. I paid the price with some toxic headache. But even so, there were still things to learn there. I still could have done better, even though I shouldn't have been responding anyway. I still could have done better. And for anyone who watched this, take a look. Learn from my mistakes because, again, anything we place before radical self respect, it can be a problem. It can be a problem, and that was a problem, right? So we have to be mindful of that. Be mindful of their techniques, of subscribing to their reality, their gaslighting, their condescending behavior. And a lot of this really is just labeling sentences and statements for what they are. Is that gaslighting? Is that condescending? Is that patronizing? Is that flipping the script in some way? Is that just an attempt to get me emotional or to get under my skin, to provoke me? Is that the spiritual narcissistic technique of saying your boundaries are ridiculous by giving it some sort of lofty explanation? And one thing I did forget to mention in the spiritual narcissist video was how they often try to out ego one another, and in their case, out unego one another. The competition of who can be the most egoless. Now, think about that for a minute. Think of how ridiculous that really is. The competition to out unego each other. But you'll see that. They're all trying to be like the most enlightened and the most healed or the most woke or awake or fill in the blank with whatever kind of thing they're striving for. But to play that game, the who can be the least egoless is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous game. It's a game the spiritual narcissists play. And they're sneaky, though. Like I said, they're sneaky. They try to get you in their realities, and they try to get you to question yourself. And they got an answer to everything, as a lot of narcissists seem to, for that matter. And again, that guy, I don't know if he was a narcissist or not. But we do know, especially if you watch this channel, you do know what narcissistic text and response looks like. You do know what their what's the word? You do know what their techniques are. And hopefully from watching the channel, you know how to handle it. Often it's by not talking to them and not handling it. But other times, gray rock, keep it short and to the point if we absolutely have to with a mother or father of our children, or sometimes even a family member. But gray rock, no emotions. Don't give them any fuel. Emotions are the fuel for their supply. And that's what we want to avoid giving them because they eat that up, man. They eat it up and they love it. And let's not give it to them. So comment below what you think about this video. If you have any other kind of texts that you want me to break down, or relationship scenarios or workplace scenarios you want me to break down, I would love to do that. I would do it anonymously as well, but I enjoy doing these kinds of breakdowns. And I may also be doing more breakdowns of other celebrities or other content creators. And I think that could be pretty interesting too. So let me know what you think about that idea as well. So with that, over and out, everybody. Thank you.